the quarterback that will grab the most headlines in the offseason that is essentially started for so many, who's it going to be? What do you got for me on that front? What do you crystal ball it? Is it Rodgers? Is it? I'll give you. Is it Deshaun Watson, Russell, Baker? What do you got for me on this?
I mean,
front?
I think it feels like maybe what we thought was going to happen last year might happen this year with some dominoes as far as the quarterbacks go. I actually think. I think the Packers are going to win the Super Bowl. So
okay.
if the Packers win the Super Bowl, I think you've sort of subtly heard Aaron Rodgers' tone changing a little bit in several different places, like the way he talks about Brian Gutekunst. I think the appreciation, the emotion you saw after he broke Brett Favre's record, right? Like, and kind of like how he had this appreciation for where he is and getting to play in Lambeau. And so I actually think there's a potential there that Aaron Rodgers does a new contract with the Packers and winds up staying there in 2022. So I'd say like Watson and Wilson will probably be the two. Watson obviously, I think his legal situation plays into everything. They've been waiting to move him, and I think he will be moved. And I think if there's clarity in the legal situation, there's going to be a huge market for Deshaun Watson out there. And then I think with Russell Wilson, maybe it plays out like things did with Matthew Stafford last year. Depending on what happens, with Pete Carroll and John Schneider there, I could certainly see them having a meeting and, kind of like I said, like what happened with Stafford in Detroit, they sort of negotiate a clean break. So then Wilson and Watson are out there. And then I think, on the kind of the secondary level, Baker Mayfield, Jimmy Garoppolo. The Derek Carr situation in Vegas is sort of interesting because next year will be a contract year for him. But I would think the Raiders try to lock up Derek Carr long term. So, I think you not only have like the big box pieces, like the guys like Wilson and Watson out there, but you also have, the second layer of quarterbacks that could wind up becoming available.
What is the plan for Baker Mayfield in Cleveland now?
I think the way that the Browns are looking at it, this is just my sense of it. Going into the year, it was, do we pay him at the top of the market? And part of the problem, Rich, is that there's no like B-level, quarterback contract out there to work off of. And so, that's why, a lot of these decisions have become yes or no. Do you believe the guy's a franchise guy or not? And if you do, you pay him at the top of the market. If you don't, then you wind up letting him go. And I think right now, if you're the Browns, you have a hard time wrapping your head around paying Baker Mayfield $40 or $45 million a year. And then I think if you're not going to do that, you got to ask yourself the very real question: can we go through the awkwardness of playing out his fifth-year option here, where it was already awkward a little bit this year, with some of the stuff that happened on Instagram and everything else. And so, my guess is, they're going to look at it and they're going to say, if we aren't willing to pay Baker $40 million a year, let's see if there's a quarterback out there that we are willing to give that money to. So, I think, the Browns will at least investigate Watson. I think they'll at least investigate Wilson, Rodgers too, if he winds up being out there. And, I think they view themselves as being in very much a win now window, where it's, I think they feel like their roster's right there. And so, the question becomes, can they land one of those guys? And if they can't, do they stick with Baker, or do they maybe go with some sort of Band-Aid for right now, where it would be a little bit less awkward than bringing Baker back in a contract year, and maybe that winds up being somebody like Jimmy Garoppolo?
Wouldn't it be, what's the word, ironic or interesting, however you want to put it, that the Browns would do that but can't land one of those guys because the Steelers do, right? Is that the Steelers' plan too? What you just kind of laid out?
Steelers, yeah. I mean, I don't think the Steelers have really. I don't think the Steelers know exactly what they're going to do yet. I think part of the issue the Steelers have is they're depleted to some degree from a draft pick standpoint, and their cap is a little bit of a mess going into next year. And so, I think with the Steelers, the question is, do you want to do like a full reset at the position and draft a rookie and start over that way? Do you want like a Band-Aid, and maybe that's like a Ryan Fitzpatrick or someone like that, like a Jimmy Garoppolo, Do you want to take the big swing? And the big swing, again, would require capital that they don't necessarily have right now. Maybe they can create it, but they don't have it right now. And that hasn't generally been their way. And so, I think it feels to me like the most likely scenario, like what they would like to do is go into the draft and find a rookie to replace Ben Roethlisberger with. The issue with that, of course, is that, you look at this year's group, Rich, and there's not like a Trevor, like last year, the five guys, right? Like Lawrence, Fields, Wilson, Lance, and Jones. Like, I don't know that there's a single quarterback in this year's draft that would crack that group. Like, whoever the number one guy is, I think would probably have gone sixth last year. And so, that's going to be the question for a lot of these quarterback-needy teams, which could drive up the market for the veterans. Is there a rookie out there that we think can be a real difference maker for us? And, we'll see if Kenny Pickett and Matt Corral and Malik Willis and, all these guys that are going to be going into the draft can work over the 3 or 4 months to come to drive their stock north. But as it stands right now, I think there are going to be more than a few teams that are going to go into the draft cycle without a single first-round grade on any other quarterback.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.